All right, so as a Leica M user, and I know a lot of you that follow the channel also happen to love Leica M cameras, here is my Leica M11, and here is the new Panasonic S9. So many people have asked me what it's like to use Leica M glass on the S9. And so I want to make a quick video kind of explaining why or why not you might want to consider getting this camera for something like that. Also talk about a couple of the other alternatives and kind of where this sits there. Right off the bat, this camera is not necessarily meant to be that kind of camera, I think. They're definitely placing this in the market for someone who is wanting to definitely upgrade from a smartphone into something that they can do content creation and the like on. It doesn't mean this camera can't take good photos, but it's definitely lacking a few of the things that I would normally want in a camera like this. Mechanical shutter, EVF, hot shoe, things like that. If you haven't watched my original video on this, you can definitely check it out up here. And obviously I talk about all of those limitations, but for the person that maybe has an M11 and wants something else that they can either use their lenses to maybe film with, or as another way to just have another camera to use those Leica M lenses, here's how this thing actually works. So right off the bat, you're either going to need to use the kind of offset flippy screen here to make your photos if you are going lower than kind of like a head level, or you can use the back LCD and kind of hold the camera up to some sort of range that would work. Obviously, if you're using a Leica M camera, those are also kind of your only options, is to use the EVF if you want to use a VisiFlex, or use the optical rangefinder. And if you do want to use the back screen, you're gonna have to pull it up here because that screen doesn't move either. So you're not really missing out on anything there. And then as far as like focus aids and things, it does have pretty good focus peaking, and you can adjust how that works. And then on the back, there is a little scroll wheel button right here. And then on this side is your autofocus selection or your focus selection. And when you do have a manual focus lens on here, that just automates to zooming in. So I have it right now at 6x. So it just zooms into wherever that focus point is on the thing. It's pretty easy to just tap your finger here. I'm sure you could move it to another one of the buttons if you would like. I'm sure these aren't optimized for Leica M lenses on the same way like a SL3 or something is. The Lumix cameras with their L mount do take Leica lenses really well. It also, when it recognizes that you're not using a just native autofocus lens, it does ask you what lens focal length you're using. That definitely helps with the IBIS to kind of calibrate the camera for that. But I think the thing that this does the best, and it just does the best regardless of how you're using this camera, is that built-in LUT function. So if you do have Lightroom presets that you want to convert into LUTs, or if you want to pick up my LUTs, that's been the thing that I've really, really loved. So on here right now, this small little lens is the 40mm Summicron C. I think it fits really well with this camera because it reminds me a lot of the Leica CL, not the modern one, but the film version that they kind of partner with Minolta on. So that's what this lens is from. It's that 40mm Summicron. It has a lot of weird flaring. It has field curvature, all sorts of stuff. But between this lens and then the Light Lens Lab 8 Elements, I've had a lot of fun using these paired with my black and white presets. Adding that with the grain function that built into, adding that with the grain functionality that's built into here as well, you just get some really cool looks. All the stuff that you're seeing from this camera at this point in time is all pre-release stuff. So I don't have any access to the raw files. So being able to put my actual presets onto here and use it has been really, really nice. Now, there's not a lot to this, to be honest. Like, the lenses just work well. It doesn't automatically zoom in or anything like it does on the M system. I know on my M240, the M10, the M11, when you start to focus and you're using live view, it will automatically zoom in. There's no sort of coupling on this camera like that, but it's just a quick move for your finger down to here to do that. Not a big deal. And once I figured that out, I didn't have any of this in Japan, but I used their tiny little 26 f8, and I did a lot of zone focusing, a lot of things like that. It was really fun. But I think where this does well is that if you want the Leica look in terms of like using vintage lenses and interesting things like this in a small compact setup, and you want to be able to just make good images in camera without editing them, that's where this thing really shines. I took this out to just like a bike ride and a walk with my kids, took some images at my son's birthday party, just things like that where it's like, I don't want to edit this. I want to just be able to have these memories, have them look really, really good, and not have to mess with it. Sure, I would like an EVF. Sure, I would like a mechanical shutter. Sure, I would like to have a cold shoe. But for that price point at $1,500, again, this camera isn't made for this and for you specifically if you were hoping to do this, but it is a camera that can do that if you would like it to. Do I have a different experience using the ZF? Sure. That's where I'm looking through a viewfinder. I'm doing all sorts of things like that. Do I have a different experience using the A7CR and Leica lenses? Sure. But the ZF is a few $100s more. The A7CR is twice the price. So it kind of just depends on what you're looking for. I think the person that is going to get this and use it with Leica lenses is someone that is already in that Leica ecosystem, that maybe has a SL2S and SL3, something like that. So they already have the L mount going, and you want to have something that's small and compact. And then honestly, that LUT functionality is probably the biggest thing here that is making this really, really interesting for a personal camera, something that you can get really interesting and good images out of while keeping it in a very small and compact form factor. So if that does sound like someone like you, it's definitely something to check out. $1,500 in the Leica world is absolutely nothing. In the regular world, it's a lot of money, but for what it is, if you are okay with its limitations and downsides, especially if you want a camera that is great for small vlog stuff, but then also is able to take Leica lenses really well, it might be a good buy for you. So thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in more Leica stuff, you can check that out up here. Check out my original video on the S9 up here, and I'll see you in one of those.